Alright, so I had someone ask me about my four-wheel steer setup that I had in the Red Cat a while ago, about 3 or 4 months ago. That's not the Red Cat, that's the TRX4. Let me grab the Red Cat. Boom, there's the Red Cat. Alright, so this thing used to have four-wheel steer. As you can see now, it's not exactly functional, it's kind of broken, and it's only two-wheel steer with a solid axle on the rear. It does have the portals on it now, with the chassis mounted steering servo. But I'll go ahead and go through it all and show you how I set up the four-wheel steer and the channels and the receiver and everything. It's really not that bad. The hardest thing that I had to do was to set up the rear axle as a front axle. The four-link on this had to be set up differently than the front because they were shorter. But I have the original steer axle right here. This is what I was running front and rear. This is a factory Red Cat front axle. All I did is I bought 2 of these. So I bought a steer axle off of eBay for like 30 bucks. And then there's the original front axle. This was in the front, just like it came from the factory. It comes with a plate, everything you need. All you got to do is supply an additional servo, which that's what I did, and I changed the location of the drag link to the lower portion. And as you can see right here, let me get this wire out of the way. Right there, it does kind of touch the tie rod on it, but not very bad. You could actually, I mean, you can see the wear mark on it right there. You can actually bend that out more or straight, whichever, but just remember you're going to have to reset your toe. But I ran this on, I got rid of the original Red Cat radio because it was only a 2-channel when I bought it. I had to buy a channel that, or a radio that had at least 3 channels. The one I bought had 4 channels on it. So take this body off. So as you can see, this is the same receiver I was running with the four-wheel steer. You have steering in channel 1 and then your ESC in channel 2. I ran my second rear servo off of channel 3. Now I have a brand new unopened Dumbo Rc radio sitting here, and it comes with this. And these things are like 30 bucks, 400 meter range. Really good radio for what it is. This one is the 6-channel, not just the 4-channel. So you have your on-off. Here's your channel 4. It's a 2-position switch. Well, 3. You got middle, on or off, whichever you prefer, middle, and then back to the front. That's what I ran my rear steer off of, was channel 4. So I was wrong by saying channel 3. I plugged it into channel 4, and that will run left, right, full lock either way. There was no proportion to it. It's either all or nothing. And then my front steering was on here. And if you actually look up, there's a guy on YouTube who did it. You can set your steering endpoints through channel 4 with these dials right here. If I remember right, it was channel 1, 2, 3, 4. And then if you set this, when you're setting your endpoints, if you set this at 50, it would only turn 50% of the maximum turn on that servo. Or you could set it all the way up to 100, whichever you wanted. And then that's how I got my steering to be equivalent from front and rear. That way I got twice the steering. So again, I ran an additional servo mounted on the axle. I ran my servo wires up through the frame and then plugged it into channel 4. I ran a Dumbo Rc 4-channel remote. This is the actual remote that I run on this crawler. And actually, I will show you how to set this up from the factory. You'll have to set your own endpoints. That's actually, I mean, it takes about 20 or 30 minutes to set your endpoints and calibrate everything. But I will take the front servo wire that's into channel 1, and I'll move that to channel 4 and show you how that works. It's really not hard. For me, It took me a little bit to learn how to figure out how to do all this. I watched the tutorial on the Dumbo RC, and I learned how to set the endpoints. That was the biggest thing, because when I first did it, it only turned about 30%, and it really wasn't that much of a help. When I changed the endpoints and put a longer servo horn on it, instead of being this really short one that comes from the factory, I put a longer one on it and moved it. That helped immensely. But I went ahead and just now moved the front steering servo to channel 4. That will run off of that instead of the wheel. Now let me go ahead and throw some batteries in it, and I'll show you what I mean. Alright, so I figured I'd do you one better. I went ahead and plugged the original front axle with the steering servo in it. I left the front axle plugged into channel 1, so channel 1 and 4. So you have channel 1 that runs off of the steering wheel. So you get something like that. Alright, so now channel 4, which runs right here, you can see when I flip it, it moves. Now it's not proportional, it's all or nothing. But as you can see, this thing turns quite a bit. So where it's sitting, that's full, center, full. So there is no middle, or it's not like the front where it's, you know, a little turns a little, a lot turns a lot. It's all or nothing. Some people don't like that. Personally, to me, it worked out perfectly, because if I was using rear steer, it's because I was hung up on something or needed to get around something that was an extremely sharp, and the front would max out not enough. So then you kick the rear in at full, and then you had it. So that's how I did the rear wheel steer on this conversion. All I did was buy a factory Red Cat axle. I ordered 2 front steer axles, took the original rear straight axle out, and bolted in the front axle. That's the only thing I did. The only other thing you'll have to do if you order one of these off of eBay like I did, I had to put my original skid plate from the rear axle on it, because it doesn't come with one. But everything else it comes with, minus the steering servo. You'll have to buy an additional steering servo, and I would recommend, highly recommend, getting rid of the factory steering servo, because I think it's only a 9 kg or something along them lines, nowhere near powerful enough for what this needs. I had 2 25 kg servos on it. These servos here are like $15 off of Amazon. They're not bad. I've only had 2 of them go bad, and I have like 7 of them in all my cars, so 2 out of that's really not that bad. The one that did go out was on the rear axle of this truck. It got submerged in water, and I think it took water inside. If I had to do it all over again and build this as a 4-wheel steer truck, I would have used these servos, the JX EcoBoost servos. These are rated at 36 kg. If you'd like to pause this and read the specs on it, it's really fast for the amount of torque it has. And the only reason I say that, those are twice as much as the Amazon servos, but they also have more output, they're faster, and they seem to hold up better. I've actually got those servos in my Arma bashers, and I put those bashers through crazy amount of beating today, and they took it without an issue. So that's probably what I would use instead of, honestly I don't even know what brand those are, but you can even get those off Banggood for $14 too. So that's where I got these, were Banggood, and they were $30 or $38. Not a bad choice. So I hope that answers your question as to how to set up 4-wheel steer on this particular truck. I maintained the original shocks. That's what these are right here. They're original. I have not changed them. I did change these drive shafts out to all metal because I kept breaking the plastic ones. I've put an all metal transmission in there. I mean, it's aluminum and steel. It's pretty heavy compared to the original one, again with steel drive shafts up front. This is an Arma 20 turn motor, and you can see it's running a really small pinion gear. I don't know if it'll focus this close. That looks like it says a 15 tooth pinion on there. There you go. With a very big spur. It's not very fast at all, but these aren't supposed to be fast. It's got an incredible amount of torque. And it's running the original Hexfly ESC. Like I said, everything on this is original to the way it came out of the factory. As far as the electronics go, minus the receiver and the motor. I've put 3 motors in this thing because I keep burning them up because I'm not afraid to put it in water. It seems like that motor burns up though. And I've also had this completely submerged underwater and this, and they seem to recover. So I can't complain too much about this truck. It's been a really good truck. It's just nothing compared to the TRX4. But it is a fun truck. So like I said, I hope this answers your question. If it doesn't, please leave a comment. Let me know what else you'd like to see. If you'd like, I can convert this whole thing back to 4-wheel steer, and I can shoot a time lapse of exactly how I did it. It'll take some time, but I will do my best, and like I said, I hope it answers your question. Until next time, guys, I'll see you later.